Okay, so today I'm going to be going over, I guess, lights for Sollumz and just embedding them into models. So I guess first thing I should mention is make sure your model is at 0, 0 before you start. Otherwise, it'll end up being offset sometimes, and it'll be really annoying. So easiest to either just duplicate it and make it at 0, 0, or just do it at 0, 0 with the original. So with that being said, we can just go ahead and create our drawable from our mesh. Then we can expand our hierarchy. Then in the viewport, press Shift A and add a empty. You can use any, but I just used a plain axis as one. You can just rename this to lights. Then Shift drag it onto our drawable. Now with our lights empty selected, we can go to the drawables tool, then go to lights tool, and add a spotlight. Then we can parent that to the lights empty. Now we can position our light to line up with our model. Now once we have it positioned, what we're going to do is we're going to switch to rendered view so we can get a rough idea of how it'll look in game. I believe we need to, maybe not. I think I might need to turn the intensity up. So if we change this to like 1000, you'll see now you can see it a little bit. Let's try changing this to like 2500. Now it's very obvious. To change the size or the radius of the cone or whatever, you change the spot size under beam shape. And to make it blend better on the edges so it's not so sharp, change the blend here under spot size. As you can see here, 0 is like all the way sharp and 1 is pretty much completely like smooth. Then what you can do is change the color if you want to something like yellow or white, whatever works for you. I'm just going to go with this teal color. You can change the radius to something like 3. This you can change depending on your scenario of what you're using the light for, but then under the Sollumz tab, you can go ahead and play with all these settings, but I'll explain what most of the common ones do. For example, flashiness. I think there's already a reference video on YouTube, what each one does. I think it's like 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 or something. It's like different levels of flashiness of how fast and how, like, I guess, violent the flashing of the light is. Projected texture hash, you can just put in the texture name here to project a certain texture. The volume size, I think, is the volume intense. No, the volume size is like the volumetric, I think, scale. Then volume outer is the intensity of the volumetric. You can just pretty much ignore these for most of the time. Then the light fade distance, I usually just set this to 20. And the shadow fade distance, I set this to like 15. The culling plane, you don't usually need to worry about this except for in interiors. I'll explain this in another video. Corona size, this is like you see like this little orange circle here? It's pretty much like a little light that, it's almost like you're looking at the sun, but like a tiny little version on the light. That's what the corona is. So you can change the size of it, the intensity. The shadow blur, I usually just set it to like something like 20. And for the flags, you can ignore most of these unless you're doing an interior. But most of the time, you can just leave this default. And the time flags, this is the time that the light's going to be shown or like turned on. So you can just go ahead and turn them all on if you want. Then I'm going to add a new. Also, yeah, I forgot to mention, there's light presets, and you can save and apply light presets to your lights. I'm going to add a new point light. This is just like a sphere, and it like shines from that radius. I'm going to move this up here. Then I'm going to select our point light and apply our preset here. Then I'm going to change the color of it. I'm just gonna apply the flags. Actually, wait, hold on. Let me just apply this to the other one. Then once you're happy with the results, you can just go ahead and export. I'll cut to how it looks in game in a second.